Have you ever looked at an information before, a data that was encoded? Most of the time when you look at it, you don't even understand what the data or how the data was being encoded, or how the data is being presented, or what the information that the data was actually trying to convey. In this video, I'm basically going to show you how you can encode a data and how you can also decode it in Python programming language. So I'm basically going to make use of a module which is actually called base64. This with the help of this module, we can actually encode our data and actually decode our data. This video is going to be split into two categories. This first category, we are going to make use of Python to actually do that of the encoding and decoding. While the second part of this video, what we are going to do is actually look at how this encoding actually works. So I'm going to make use of image. I wanted to make use of pen and pencil to pen and paper to actually draw all these things down and then try to explain it, but I don't want the video to be too long. So this video I'm going to make use of Python to do that. In the next video I have prepared images that I'm going to use to explain everything in the web details. So like I said, we are going to make use of a module which is actually called base64. This module, you don't need to install it, it already comes with Python on its own. So first we are going to do, we want to import it, then we're actually going to encode our data, and then I'm going to explain some things that we need to know. This is why we encoded and the reason for encoding this particular data. So the first we are going to do is actually to import that of our base64. Like I said, you don't need to install it, it's already there. So second we are going to do is actually create a test that we want to actually encode. Let's say create a variable, I'm going to call it test, and then I'm going to the name of the test sentence I'm going to encode is, I'm just use a simple sentence. I can say B is what? Is a boy. So this is a simple sentence that I'm going to use. So with the help of this base64 module and the function inside of it that is actually 64. So let me actually just do that. I'm going to create a variable. It's going to be encoded. So I'm going to call this of our base64 that we imported. I'm going to make use of a function inside of this base64 which is going to help us to encode this our data. So I'm going to call the name of the function is actually called base64 what encode. So the work of this of our base64, so B64 encode, what actually does is actually to convert this of our text to base64 format. So the next thing we are going to do is actually to encode our text itself. So I'm going to say what our text dot what encode. So what does this encode actually does? It converts this of our text that is here right here to what byte, and then we are going to make use of what is called dot what decode. With the help of this decode, we can actually convert this of our what is being encoded to something that can be a little bit readable. So let's, like I said, the help of this decode basically just to turn it to something that we can actually be able to read. So let me print this of our encoded information that like I did this and I gave it encoded. So let's actually see what we're able to do. Like I explained, the work of this function is actually to convert it to that of base64. Don't worry, I'm still getting it confused. When we do that of the math part of this, how all these things came to be, we're going to understand how all these things, and this of our encode is to convert it to that of byte, and to decode is to turn it into something like more of human readable. You can see something like this this 95 my blah blah blah, a whole lot of other things. I can see B something. I think the human being can able to read this a little bit. If I was not because of this decode, let me remove this decode. Let's see what we have here. So even though you remove the encode, you still get something like this B asterisk, and with all these things inside it, it can still be readable. But let's put this decode back. So the next thing we are going to do, because this is the test I entered, OB is a boy, and I'm getting this kind of output. I don't think if I give you this kind of output for you to read and prepare for your exam or your test, I don't think this actually makes sense in any way possible. So the next we are going to do, we need to actually decode it back. So I just like opposite of encoding. That's basically what it actually do. So for us to decode it, let me just create a variable. Let me comment this out and create a variable called what decode. I can say decoded. I can say is equals to. So I'm going to call this our base64 again. What base what 64 door. Instead of what we actually did, the function made use of what this B6 encode. So I'm going to make use what B64 what decode. Just simple as that. B64 decode. And here, what do you want to decode? We want to decode this. I can put this encoded here. I can put this encoded here. I can just copy this. I can also decide to copy this into here. So any one of my choice. Remember, this has to be a string in case you are interested in putting it, have to be a string. But let me just put this encoded on it. So the next we are going to do for us to actually see it very well, we actually need to decode it by making it to be. We want to, by when we put decode, we are actually trying to turn it back to that of the original string. So I can just decode, just simple as that. So if I was to print out what we actually decoded, let's run it and see what we actually decoded. So you can see we actually got our output back. Obi is a boy. You can see how simple that it was actually to able to encode and decode it. You can see in this way of encoding, you can prevent somebody from actually looking at your data or actually reading your data. This can be really useful in many occasions. Let's say you want to do for that of data privacy and a whole lot of other things. They can try to do other things like that of try to add some other maybe a kind of gibberish on this test that even when you are done, if somebody was able to decode it, they're not actually going to have any meaningful meaning to that person. But I actually decoded some part. So there's still better way. This is like a basic decoding. In the case of want to do something like a higher encode, you are going to make it what's called hash 256 and a whole lot of other ones, or you can actually do it by yourself. Not actually have to actually do some of all this encoding and decode. Just what we actually did here was actually to convert this to Obi is a boy to bytes, more like a numbers from that of the numbers to that of the binary, from binary convert it back to numbers, and the numbers will convert it back to text. So there's nothing really much that we actually implemented. And when we still do the math part, which is going to be the next section of this video, you are going to see that there's not actually much thing that actually went on here. So I think this should be it for this video. Make sure to watch the second part of this video where you're going to be the math part. We are going to make use of pictures to explain how all these things actually work. So I think with this we are going to the end of this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can also hit the like bell and also share with your friend who might think about want to encode his or her data. So I think this should be it for this video. See you in the next video.